So we just heard about slicing OSM, and now it's time to hear about merging OSM from Rob. All right. Thanks, Rob.
Is my screen sharing?
Yep, you're good.
Good, because usually I can never make this happen. So yeah, well, thanks again to OSM US for making me a community project because their support is always very useful. And so yeah, so this is a talk about updating OpenStreetMap. So I call it OSM Merge because this is conflation software. Not everybody understands the word conflation, and it's primarily focused on what's called the MVUM roads, which are basically all the remote Jeep tracks and all the national forests in the entire United States. And I happen to be a wildland firefighter and backcountry rescue officer. So this map data being accurate is incredibly useful to us actually being able to do good response. So basically why fix this? Fighting wildland fires and backcountry rescues, we need accurate maps. A lot of people in a big wildland fire come from other states, and so they don't know the area like us locals, and so they really, really need accurate maps. Same thing for recreational users, right? When you're driving around all these dirt roads, you don't want to get lost. The other critical problem is most topographical paper maps turn out to be drastically out of date, some of which have massive bugs. It's kind of embarrassing. Google also does not typically include remote highways, so you're kind of screwed that way. And to be honest, good navigation in remote areas requires really good metadata. And of course, I want to make OpenStreetMap the world's best map source possible. So the goals are fixing the metadata for highways and trails in remote areas. So what I do is I conflate external data sets with OpenStreetMap. I identify and fix known quality issues in all these data sets, whether it's from the Forest Service or the Park Service or OpenStreetMap itself. And a lot of this is basically simple. It's a lot easier to convey your location if you actually know the Forest Service reference number with the actual highway name instead of passing GPS coordinates over a really bad radio connection, which happens all the time. And then the other nice part is I get to do a lot of validation of OpenStreetMap data. A lot of the data that I'm looking at was from the 2008 Tiger import, and it's never been touched since 2008. And it says, hi, it's pretty bad. So a lot of the problems is most of the tags for these highways is highway equals track or highway equals path. Actually, there's a whole bunch to say highway equals residential and there's no houses, but that was one of the Tiger bugs. A lot of times it turns out that sometimes the name and the reference number in OpenStreetMap, they got a parallel highway and not the correct highway. But since I do geospatial matching, I can actually correct that as well. And then also access data, ATVs, dirt bikes, horses, all that stuff is possible. And it turns out also a lot of these that were traced off highways, people would be tracing a highway on satellite imagery and they would go the wrong way on the fork. So I spend a lot of time actually splitting highway line strings at forks and then fixing the names and reference numbers to go to the right highway branch. And yeah, so basically the whole point is to make it a lot easier to communicate locations. I don't know about you guys, I get way too many GPS coordinations, have a really bad radio connections and often can't figure out where they are. And the other nice thing is you get GPS, you can't relate that to a paper map like that easily. And so when you've actually got a Forest Service reference number or a highway name, you can look on your topo map, your MVUM map, whatever, and find it pretty quickly and easily. And I think this is going to be really useful for people that aren't like professional mappers and stuff like that. The other nice benefit too is that a lot of these being highway equals track, mountain bikers love this stuff. Now you can actually say what you did. Oh, I did a really cool road and here's what it was called. And right now you can say, oh, I did a really cool highway equals track, which is kind of boring. So the external data sets I'm using come from the USDA, and there's a whole bunch of different data sets, NVUM, they call it Road Core, National Park Service, hiking trails and all that stuff. I actually have the vector data sets used for printing topographical maps in the US. And then I've also been conflating with county and state sources so that I can get things like county highway designations. A lot of these roads are both county roads and Forest Service roads. And by conflating 4 or 5 different data sources, I can kind of get to the actual accurate metadata. At least that's the hope. So the software conflates external data sets, identifies a lot of bad metadata, misspelling, weird capitalizations, all that kind of junk. It's designed to run fully offline. It also runs standalone. Eventually, it'll have a website front end, but I'm mostly working on the back end. And some of the software actually goes back almost 10 years because I've been working on this project on and off for a long time. And I can actually also I am now processing and conflating data for the entire US, every national park, wilderness area, and Forest Service in the US. It's been kind of fun, lots of data. other outputs is kind of fun is I can do things like I can generate a trail of um, tr trails in OSM. They're not an official source for Park Service, which is kind of useful. We've been doing a lot of that manually and things. And I can also find a lot of these cheap trails in the MUM and road core data sets that's not an OpenStreetMap, and that'll be a future import. Import has a whole different process and stuff. But yeah, it'll be very, very useful to eventually get all that imported after we fix the existing data. So yeah, the process is I split up all the national data sets into separate files, one for each national park, forest, wilderness area. Then I make highway extracts from OpenStreetMap of that same exact area. I run a bunch of conversion programs. OSM US has a few there that Jake's written, but I convert all the OpenStreetMap to kind of OpenStreetMap syntax. So maybe in the data source it says, valid name, and I convert it to like name tags. And it's a lot easier to conflate when all the tagging is the same schema. And I delete a lot of unwanted data fields. Some of the Tiger imports, people imported over 20 fields that have no relation to OSM tagging at all. A lot of weird Tiger tags. So I kind of delete a lot of that ancient crap that's no good anymore. And so what I said, so once they're a consistent metadata set, it's really easy to conflate them. I have had a lot of bugs. There's a lot of problems in both the road core and MVUM data sets where all the Forest Service reference numbers are wrong. Utah they are particularly bad. And then I can also, compare the OpenStreetMap features to anything that's kind of nearby. Then I compare the tags, the name, the reference number, various things like that. And then I kind of generate a confidence setting. So sometimes the official source spells a highway name one way, maybe in OpenStreetMap it's spelled differently. And so I kind of generate a confidence on how good is this conflation result probably going to be, although it has been working out pretty good.
Hey, Rob,
I generated,
1 minute warning, please. Thanks.
huh?
1 minute warning,
Should I
please. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you want me to finish up?
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, so anyway, I edit this stuff in JAWSM, works out pretty good. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Yeah, I have support also for putting it in Tasking Manager. So I generate 5,000 square kilometers for task size, so I can use Tasking Manager projects like that. And so far, I've updated these national forests over just the last 2 weeks. The software takes me a couple of hours per national forest to update. And then if you want any other resources, go there. And there is a ton of technical documentation and deep tech dives on the documentation website. Now I can stop.
All right. Thanks so much, Rob. Yeah, it's a lot of great stuff. And I just encourage a lot of the speakers, if you can, post your slides in the Mapping USA channel in Slack, so folks can can see your notes and stuff later on.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'll
yeah,
be honest, I'm focusing on Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, and so it'd be really nice if other people use the output of the software for fixing Idaho, Washington, California. I mean, I'm really hope to have some community help on updating the rest of the country.
awesome.